Um, 730,000 people had filed for unemployment. It's still high, but the fewest it's been in 3 months. The number of Americans seeking unemployment benefits had fell sharply last week, and a sign that layoffs may have eased, though applications for the aid remain at a historically high level. The jobless claims declined by 111,000 um, from the previous week to a seasonally adjusted 730,000 for the labor market, said Thursday. It is the lowest figure since late November and the sharpest one-week decline since August, but still before the virus erupted in the United States last March, and the weekly applications for the, the weekly applications for unemployment benefits had never topped 700,000. Um, the latest figures coincide with a weakened job market that has made a scant progress in the past 3 months. The hiring averaged just 29,000 a month from November through January. And though the unemployment rate was 6.3% in January, a broader measure that includes people who have given up on the job search is closer to 10%. With all that being said, 19 million people are receiving unemployment aid as of February 6th, which is up from 18.3% the previous week. About three quarters of those recipients are receiving checks from federal benefit programs, including programs that provide jobless aid beyond the 26 weeks that's given by most states. Last week's drop in applications was concentrated in two states, in California and Ohio, where they fell by a combined 96,000. Though Ohio officials had said earlier this month that a surge in new applications was driven in part by a jump in potentially fraudulent claims, that appears to have faded. Um, the California system operates on a biweekly basis, which can make its weekly data choppy. This month's devastating winter storm and power outages in Texas and some neighboring states might have also disrupted the filing or the processing of those claims. The applications for jobless aid fell by 1/6 in Texas to about 35,000. Yet last week's decline in application was broad-based, with 36 states and the District of Columbia reporting fewer people seeking unemployment benefits. Now that suggests that employers might be cutting fewer jobs. The drop may be signaling a turning point for labor market conditions. And this is what Nancy Houghton had, the lead economist at the Oxford Economics, had said. Still, she cautioned, the data continues to suffer from noise related to issues of backlogs and fraud. We expect a more sustainable labor market recovery to take hold closer to the mid-year, with broader vaccine distribution and the arrival of more fiscal support. In the meantime, economists say that the widespread business shutdowns in states hit by the ice storms could cause an increase in applications for jobless aid in coming weeks. And despite the weakened job market, key sectors of the economy are showing signs of picking up of vaccinations increase, and the government rescue aid that works its way through the economy. And the Federal Reserve ultra-low rate policy is providing important support as well. The retail sales had soared last month as many Americans spent the $600 checks that were included in a relief package that was enacted in December. The factory output also rose and has nearly regained its pre-pandemic levels, and the sales of newly built homes soared last month. Uh, Michelle Michelle Meyer, who's an economist at Bank of America on Monday, had upgraded her forecast for growth this year to 6.5%, which would be the fastest that we've seen since 1984. But the daily coronavirus infections are down more than 70% from their peak, and Meyer noted which should lead to more states and cities relaxing the business restrictions, and further economic relief is also likely, she said, as Congress is still weighing on President Biden's proposal for the new aid package that's amounting to $1.9 trillion. The Fed has pegged its short-term interest rate near zero to encourage more borrowing and spending. Um, the Fed chairperson Jerome Powell stressed in testimony to Congress this week that the Fed plans to keep its rate ultra low until the job market has recovered, even if inflation has begun to surpass the Fed's 2% the 2% target level by them. That soothed the stock market, which had fallen in the past week on fears that rising interest rates and the threat of inflation might lead the Fed to raise rates too quickly and potentially derail the economy. The yield on the 10-year Treasury note has risen sharply in anticipation of a more robust economic growth and is now 1.45%. At the start of the year, the 10-year yield was way below the 1% mark. In his testimony this week, Powell downplayed the inflation risk and instead he underscored the economy's struggles, which include the 10 million jobs that remain lost since the pandemic erupted nearly a year ago, and that's a deeper job loss than what was inflicted by the Great Recession of 2008 to 2009. But on Wednesday, Richard Clarida, who's a Fed vice chairperson, he sounded a little more optimistic and noted in his remarks to the U.S. Chamber of Commerce that he pointed to the distribution of vaccines in the economic relief package that the government enacted late last year to have as a reason for a sunnier outlook. The prospects for the economy in 2021 and beyond, he said, have brightened, and the downside risk to the outlook has diminished. Even the ice storms and widespread power outages in Texas, and damaging as they were to residents and businesses there, it's unlikely to inflict a major blow on the overall U.S. economy, according to Oxford Economics. But Orrin Clacton had led the U.S. who's a lead U.S. economist at Oxford. Orrin estimates that the harsh winter weather was slightly lower growth in January to mid March quarter, to still blistering 6.8% annual, but which is down from a previous estimate of 7.1. Yeah, we need all these we need a lot of these jobs back, but